and welcome to episode 1 of the Crochet Luna podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from Southern California. I live in the San Diego area with my husband, 2 kids, and 2 crazy dogs. I decided to start podcasting after binge watching several of the crochet podcasts on YouTube. I really enjoyed watching what people were making, the patterns they were designing, the yarn they were buying. It just looked like a lot of fun. A big shout out to Emma of the Potter and Bloom podcast. Emma, you had an episode where you were very encouraging about people starting a podcast. You said, if you really want to do it, you should just go for it. So this is me going for it. My crochet journey has not been a long one. I only started crocheting about 3 years ago, though I did grow up with crochet in the house. My great-grandmother crocheted, but she passed away before she could teach me. And throughout the years, I did take a stab at learning how to crochet, but it was just really difficult for me to learn from books. When my daughter turned 5, I decided I was going to learn to crochet because I wanted to make her something. And I went on YouTube and I found several really good tutorials that showed me how to make basic stitches. So after that, I went to my local craft store and was completely overwhelmed by the yarn selections. I knew nothing about yarn, but I did walk out with a giant bag of a Red Heart Super Saver, which is a pretty inexpensive acrylic yarn. Flash to now, and crochet is my passion. I love to crochet. I crochet almost every day, and I love finding beautiful yarns and patterns and learning new stitches. I'm also really interested in what's going on in the fiber arts community. This past weekend, I met a friend, Direne. Hey, Direne, if you're watching. And we went to the Museum of the American West, which is the Autry Museum in Los Angeles. And they had a fiber arts installation that was put together by Yarn Bombing LA and the Autry Museum. And it asked the question, what is a California landscape? And so 70 fiber artists got together and put together panels that were hung on the outside of the museum that represented their idea of a California landscape. That was really fun to watch, and I took a lot of pictures that I will post on my blog. Then we went inside the museum, purchased tickets thinking there was more fiber arts to be seen inside, but there wasn't, and I was a little disappointed. But since I'd never been to the Autry Museum, I told my friend, let's go check out the collection. And let me tell you, it is a great collection. It's got beautiful paintings of the West and Native Americans. They have artifacts. They have movie memorabilia. They have a huge gun collection. And it's just a really great museum to check out. If you ever have a chance, at least check it out online and you can see sort of the things that they offer. After that, I told her that when I'm out of town, I usually like to go and check out the local yarn shop. And I did find one, and it's called the Little Knittery. And let me tell you, this place is pretty cool. They have beautiful yarns, big chunky yarns, big giant knitting needles. I mean, they have a lot of really pretty stuff in there. And one of the things that I saw was a sample of a sleeveless vest that had this really pretty yarn on top, and the yarn had flowers and lace and fabric that looked like it was woven into the fiber. They carry the yarn there, and so I found it and I bought some. And let me share this with you. So this is called Sweet Papaya by a company called Collage. And what they do is, it's a hand spun yarn. They spin little daisies in it, and if you can see, sparkly yarn. And they also spin into it bits of fabric. You can see that. Lovely, lovely yarn. It's very squishy and soft, and they had many colors available. And if you check out the website, the Knit Collage website, you will find other pictures of other really pretty yarns, as well as patterns. The Little Knittery website also has patterns. They are free, and they have one for a market bag that I want to make. I also found, give me a second, I also found some Madelinetosh, which I bought because it was so pretty. I mean, look at those colors. Look at how many colors are in here. It's just a pretty, pretty yarn. This is a Tosh Vintage, which is 100% merino, worsted weight, 220 yards. And I have some Madelinetosh in my stash, but I find that I can't ever crochet with it because it's so pretty. It's like my little pet, and I like to visit it and touch it and rub it. So I have a lot of this in there, and this will be added to the stash. I also found, a little bit more about the Knit Collage yarn. It is hand spun in India. Bits of tea-dyed lace, hand printed, Jaipur fabrics, and daisy trims are hand spun into each colorway. And the sparkling polyester fibers are called Angelina. This is 60 yards, which is 55 meters, and 100 grams. It's not a lot of yardage, but I just think it would make a really pretty trim, at least on top for, a cowl or something. Moving on, I also received in the mail a polymer crochet hook. Check that out. Isn't that the cutest thing? It's got little sheep and little yarn balls. I'm a big fan of polymer crochet hooks. I actually make some myself. They really help me to crochet long sessions. I was actually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 25, and I will be 45 this year, and it's been 20 years of dealing with arthritis, and so I'm very sensitive to the things that I have in my hand, and ergonomic crochet hooks really help me out. So here's the card. The company is called Polymer Clay Shed. I found them on Instagram, but they're also, she has an Etsy shop, so you should check that out because she does some really beautiful work. Moving on from that to what's on my hook. Like I was saying, I binge watched several of the crochet podcasts. One of them is Catherine from Crafternoon Treats. I really like her podcast. It's put together very well, really informative, and she also has free patterns on her blog. So I am making her granny stash bag. And I'm making mine with chunky yarn, which I love. And I've made 3 of the 5 panels that I need to complete the bag. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. These have not been blocked, and I haven't added the fabric yet because though they're easy to crochet, I don't sew, and I've got to figure out how to do the lining. But you know how that goes. We'll get there. I also have another project that I've been working on, but tragedy has struck. I followed a recommendation of Catherine to crochet some socks, the survival socks. I don't know the name of the designer off the top of my head, but I will put the name on the show notes. And I have this really pretty sock yarn that I found, which you'll see here. It's Terra Norville, and it's her Serenity Sock Weight yarn, which is really pretty. And I thought I was going to get these done for my mom's birthday on April 7th, but when I got to the heel part, I realized the socks didn't fit. I mean, they were not going to fit her. So I had to frog it, and the yarn basically split. I mean, it just, look at that. Look at that horribleness. Can you see that? Could have been because I got kind of angry as well, and it just like it wasn't coming undone, and I just kind of ripped it. But anyway, I realized that I think I was not using the right hook size. The pattern calls for a 3mm hook that for some reason could not find in my craft store, and I thought I had something equivalent to it, but I didn't. I will have to restart these again because I really do want to get them done for her. So one of the things that happens often now that people know that I crochet is that they get it confused with knitting. And they will give me knitting patterns, which is totally fine because I think knitting is beautiful, and I'm sure one day I will learn how to knit. And recently my cousin Maria gifted me a beautiful kit from Jimmy Bean's Wool. She lives in Reno, and I believe that's the home of Jimmy Bean's Wool. And she gifted me this gorgeous kit with this beautiful shawl, and I pulled the picture from the Jimmy Bean's website. But look at that beautiful shawl. It's called On the Spice Market by Melanie Berg. You can find the pattern on Ravelry, and I'll put all those notes in the show description or on my blog as well. And I really, really, really loved this shawl. But I don't knit, so I had to figure out a way to crochet something with that beautiful yarn. And I have a go-to pattern that I really have enjoyed making things with, and it's called Terra in crochet. And this pattern is by Sherry McEwen. You can find it on Ravelry. It is a free pattern, and it's one of the first patterns that I used to work shawls with. And I'm actually wearing one of the pieces that I made. If you can see it, it's like a little shawlette. It's small, it's like a scarf. And I made this with Sweet Georgia yarn. It's their sock yarn. Really pretty. I believe this is hand dyed. You can check out their website for their yarn selection because they have a pretty extensive yarn selection. So I made this shawl, and I thought, you know, I'm going to use the yarn that she gave me to make a shawl for myself. So I did. And here it is. You probably can't see the whole thing because it is a pretty long shawl. And I still have to weave in the ends and block it. So it's technically like 99% done. But I really, really enjoy it. It's a lightweight shawl, and the yarn is super yummy. Anyway, that is my almost finished object. It's on my hook, and also that granny stash bag is on my hook. I also have a blanket that I'm working on. It's just a simple granny stitch blanket, and I always like to keep something like that next to me when I'm on the couch watching a show with my husband, something that I don't have to think about. And I will show you that next time. I also have a crochet garment that I'm working on, and I can't find it. So once I find it, I will show it to you. I don't know where I put it, but it could have something to do with spring cleaning. Yes, people, spring cleaning. I decided to clean the old craft corner, and I found 5 projects that will never get done because I've completely lost interest. And so I thought, what am I going to do with these projects? You know, I'm not going to finish them. I've lost interest, but the yarn is pretty, so I just decided to frog the project, wind up the yarn, and throw it back in the old stash over here. So I've decided that if I start a project and I don't work on it for 5 months, it's probably not going to get done. And I can't take the guilt of having all these like works in progress with nothing to show for, that I'm going to limit myself. I'm going to try and limit myself to having no more than 5 projects on the go. Because hopefully that way I can finish things and, you know, feel a sense of accomplishment. Anyway, that's all I have for now, and thank you so much for stopping by. I want to send out some crochet love out to Clarissa Beth from Crochet Cakes. I really enjoy your podcast. Um, Emma from Potter and Bloom, thank you so much for the encouragement. And Sandra from Cherry Heart, love what you crochet. I love your designs. I actually just bought her Victoria shawl pattern, which I'm dying to start, but I won't do it until I get one of these done. And also Catherine from Crafting Treats, really inspirational. You know, when I started watching Catherine's podcast, she was just dabbling in, you know, dyeing and spinning, and now she's got like a full-on Etsy shop with beautiful yarns that I actually just made a purchase a couple weeks ago. So I can't wait to get that and show it to you guys. So just some social media information for you guys. I'm very active on Instagram as Crochet Luna. I have a Facebook page by the same name, but I will tell you that I don't just post things that I work on my Facebook page. I tend to post free patterns and crochet news, or if I come across a particularly interesting blog post, I will put it on my Facebook page. So if you go there, don't get confused by all the craziness. It's just I tend to post all the things that I come across on Facebook. I also have a blog. Oh my god, my blog. It's been dead for a year, so I will have to revive it for the podcast so that I can put some good pictures and some good notes, and I guess we'll go from there. And thank you so much for stopping by. Oh, I will also start a Ravelry thread, so if you guys want to ask me any questions, I would love to hear from you. Like I said, thank you so much for stopping by. This is my first attempt at doing anything like this. It's actually not very easy. It's taken me several days to get to the point where I can actually record something, with my phone and lights. And so I'll get there. I'll figure it out. So thanks again. Crochet on and have a great week. Bye.